Veto. 232-396. 396. All right, Odell. 323-408. 408. 408. 408. 232-333. 333. 333. Last call, 333. 232-382. 382. 382. All right, here we go. Come forward. We have a winner on 382. Winner, chicken dinner. 232-402. 402. 402. 402.
What was that?
232-364. 364.
Oh, that was me.
364. 364. You have 364? Oh, okay.
Which one? 402?
Yeah.
It's right here.
232-419. 419. 419. 419. 419. All right, move on. 232-348. 348. Yeah, 348. Okay, go ahead and pick one, Jerry. And Kelly will get what's remaining. Where's Francis? Francis? Okay, we have Francis Hamden over here to my right, who is going to be running the mic around, so it's time for Q&A. First up, Jerry Gabriel. Let's try to allow for everyone who wants an opportunity to get an opportunity before we get back in line again. Let's just try to be mindful of others who may have inquiries. Go ahead, Jerry.
First of all, I wanted to let everybody know that my name is Jerry Gabriel. I have two sons on the tribal council, which makes it really hard for me to talk about this, but I look at it this way. I have 8 grown kids, 27 grandkids, and 14 great-grandkids. And of course, my interest, I'm wholly committed to our land and our water, our environment. And I would have preferred to have the IRMP people here today for a PowerPoint presentation. And I believe that I would like to have seen Environmental Trust, the water and soil scientists, a new watershed management person that's just started, the fish and wildlife, cultural plans, foods and medicines, parks and rec. All of this because we have this IRMP upon us. And Yeah, forestry too, that's right. We have a need for public hearings. And this could be held at district meetings. It would have been good if it would have been here, because a lot of people don't even know what the IRMP is. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. In 2002, they had an EIS with 5 experts. And at that time, 26 units were at that time identified as being in the highly or extremely high classification of being damaged by pollution and poor logging practices. It has continued since the 193 settlement. The clear cuts have continued. Out of 83 units which were leased out and permits made, there's 4,400 cows by 62 non-members, 19 tribal members. Of that, 5 have cows, the rest have horses. I sit through all those meetings because I was concerned, and the range man gave me the facts and figures. Because of the rise of cancer on our reservation, I'm very concerned. We've had 10 deaths in this Bill district. 10 more new ones still have cancer. And one of those 10 that have it now, one's a young fellow from Omaha and another young fellow from here in Keller. I went to his silent auction here in Keller, and I went to the fundraiser for the young fellow in Omaha. The 2014 IRMP that they're working on now will be in effect. It'll become law for 15 years. The 2002 EIS alternative picked double the allowable cut and the amount of cows. We see the results. We all seen this by Brian Gunn when he done our presentation on the 193 settlement. I'm glad he's here. I would like to know why we've had such low stumpage the past 10 years. I know it's been down, but in the settlement it says that we did not get a fair market value for our timber, so I'm asking now, how could we have a 25-year plan with an IRP which makes an allowable cut? Allowable cut is the amount of timber that you can cut per year. I've been on field trips for 20 years. The clear cuts continue. I was just up at Roaring Creek this last weekend, seeing the mess up there. I've been all over the reservation, Sample Valley, Moses Mountain, Lost Creek, Upper Stepstone, up by Moses Mountain, and I think they've gone even so far as going to part of the area that has been set aside in preservation. And I'd like to know if this fair market value is being guaranteed, and if we will be getting per capita payments on our timber now. They're talking about how much we're going to be making in 2014, this projected amount. And I have asked for our district to have the IRP people come, be there, do their PowerPoint presentation, just like what we've seen here. And because I want all the membership to know what happens when they do this. And I don't know whether they're even having an EIS this time, or they're going by this fellow that did the 193 settlement, all his assessments and valuations. But anyway, I just thought, I don't know who would answer this question. I know Joe Sumjay is Natural Resources for Council, and probably maybe Joe Bagotas, because he's handed over the logs and the logs over there. Or Is it transit? So which one of you guys want to answer? It doesn't matter to me, but I would like some answers.
I'll certainly defer to council if. Here's my little brother. He's actually my older brother. I can take a stab at least part of the question that you asked. You asked why the stumpage has gone down. It's a simple answer. There's been no market since 2008. What's that? I don't think we have gotten for 4 years, have we? We haven't cut hardly anything in the last 4 years. I'm not a forester, not a silviculturalist, but as you know, I was here through the 70s, through the 90s, and I will tell you that under silvicultural rules from the BIA and run through the IRMP, those prescriptions are based on science, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's a lot of spruce breadworm and other diseases that impact the forests, and one of the prescriptions of taking care of those diseases is to cut those areas out. Now, I can remember hearing from tribal council at district meetings that they didn't like the clear cuts either, and they contained them to a smaller amount than what was actually prescribed. But the answer to your question about why, as our stumpage went down, is because there hasn't been a market since the crash of 2008 by housing starts.
Yeah, Francis, that's in large part of why the stumpage has gone down. That's a direct impact on why the 2 mills were shut down. And the reason why the CIPD has been open, or is open, is because the housing starts have gone up, particularly in Oregon. When housing starts to go up, the demand goes up, pricing goes up. So we're seeing prices now that we haven't seen since I've been on. Prices I don't heard about. So that in turn is going to help us better prepare for our budgeting process. We spoke at length about how much we diversified in the interim since those mills shut down. So pending no holdups, pending nothing adversely affecting those new markets, after this next year, and you asked about per capita, we could probably start to look at that again. But we're not there yet. We're not financially sound enough to where we could responsibly do that yet. But if we fulfill the 40 million that's required by others, if we go above that, even to our annual allowable cut, full in this year and full in next year, I think we could probably revisit that. And I think everybody at this table wants to do that. We realize it's difficult for a lot of people, and that little bit of help would be enough to get them by in some cases. So we do realize that. As far as this next year, it's not in the budget. Francis didn't present on the budget. It wasn't there. We just didn't have enough today to do it. So I hope that answers that portion of your question. I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that. Anyone? No?
Okay, Jerry, in 2000, or before 2012, when we operated the mills, in some cases we were getting $70 stumpage across the board. In 2012, we were averaging $160 per thousand overall species. And as you know, different species of trees have different values on them. So in 2012, when we were averaging $160 per thousand overall species, is a very good price. It's showing that we're coming back. The problem is that we only moved 16 million board feet. Now, if we were up to the 77 million board feet, then council could probably look at distributing some of that money out in per capita. And right now, the last I checked, we are averaging $140 per thousand overall species. Now, when you talk fair market value, in my mind, fair market value is what the commodity sells for today. Not that when we were looking at $800 a thousand for our Ponderosa pine. That's not there anymore. But we have to continue to harvest timber to manage a healthy forest. Thank you.
I'm Barbara Freelancer Arepa. I'd like to talk about the, it was mentioned, the enrollment. I'm not going to put it to each and every one of you, but many years ago, there was a case that came up before the council, and some of the members are, all the members are gone now. There's Pete Emery, George Freelander, Barney Ritter, Dan Finley, there were many others. I could see their faces, but anyway, they had this enrollment issue that came to them many times, and they always put it down. Some of you may know of it, it's a Provo case. And they had a lot of research, and this person was found out that he was a non-Indian. And several years ago, when I was still working and I was secretary to the culture committee, it was brought up again. And the council at that time made him an Iroquois. And all the people that were related to the program were enrolled. And I had at that time mentioned that this was a case that other tribal members who were descendants of real Indians, not a Provo who is non-Indian. Like some people here have relatives, families in Yakima, in the Umatilla, on the Coeur d'Alene and Spokane, all through the Northwest. My Aunt Lucy Covington had fought many times with the government on enrollment, trying to bring up the enrollment so that a lot of the kids and children would not be without medical care or be eligible for school because of their enrollment. And the government had set 1/4 degree blood at that time. And so she had discussed with all these tribes of the Northwest, clear Montana, to use their blood on their reservation if their family was called living there. And they had enough Indian blood to be enrolled as an Indian. And so that they would not lose their medical care or school enrollment issues. And she had passed away before this happened. Oh, she met with all the tribes in the Northwest. To bring this issue, and I went to the affiliated tribes, and they had discussed this, and they were all in favor, but she passed away before it was finalized. Eventually, it just disappeared. Nobody has done anything about it. And we have many children throughout this state, to this reservation, not eligible to be enrolled. And I myself am not speaking for my descendants or grandchildren, but I know many that are not eligible for health care or for school enrollment issues as an Indian, where they get special funding for the school. And what I would like our council to do is to do more on this with all the tribes and affiliated tribes and bring this issue back so that it may mean more people on a reservation here or all through the Northwest, and more Indians will be counted as Indians, not as descendants. And this is an issue I've been talking about for many years, and because I feel that if the council at that time can use a Provo case to enroll a non-Indian as an Iroquois, maybe the rest of us could use that case and claim our Indian blood from another tribe the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. I come to these first one one time. I live in the coast. And this is the Provo case. I'm a part of that Provo case. And I think the people that wonder about the Provo case are wondering mostly. They don't have facts. And if you decide on enrollment, you decide on facts, you decide on district. And I didn't think we really talked about COVID, actually. As you mentioned, I'm not saying the thought. I ate this baby. I was about 12 years old, my grandmother told me that provost was a demon. And I checked a lot of this. I found a very place in a long time studying this. And you prove to me that he's not that he's not Indian, I'll give you some other proof. But prove to me that what you're saying is true. When you enroll in tribe, you have to have factual. I was told it. I can produce 4 facts that they're not decided by the facts themselves, be decided by the court. So they would decide by the facts that we had, so we had to go to the appellate court to have it proved. That should settle it. The last question is, when they decided to blood, not blood, but the fund that we received was the great settlement, $193 million. That money doesn't belong to a person today. There are a lot of people that have died before us, who are sick or ill, who are not longer here with us to enjoy that, but they are part of that settlement. It doesn't belong to the present generation. So what money's been paid out didn't have to be paid out. Over in the coast, we have 3 tribes I know of. Joe, Musqueam, Tsunami, that didn't pay anything to their people until they took their infrastructure. They built up their businesses, their corporations, and now they pay big settlements. I think that's all I want to say. The public case is so stop.
I don't have any answers for Barbara, so I don't know if somebody was going to answer, but I think their questions were sort of combined. No?
Well, there were more statements than anything. Didn't really hear a question. I think Barb was asking that we reevaluate how we acknowledge our blood. If I'm not mistaken, Barb, you were asking that because we have a number of people who are a multitude of different tribes in the Northwest, and whether or not this tribe is willing to revisit that. As you all know, during the termination era, prior to that, in our Constitution, it was just 1/4 Indian blood. That's all it was. It didn't say Caldwell, it didn't say Creed, it didn't say Blackfeet. If you're 1/4 Indian blood and you made application to the Caldwell tribes to be enrolled, you were enrolled. How that was changed, when that was changed, was during the termination era. A number of people felt that that was a better way to protect the tribes by requiring that 1/4 Caldwell blood. So it was changed during that time. So if we want to reevaluate that, it's going to take a lot of discussion. It's going to take a lot of meetings with the membership, because this isn't something. This is that's a question too large for this table to ever address. It's something that the people is going to have a say in if we even revisit that someday. It probably cause a lot of turmoil, but whether or not that's necessary, I guess it's up to the people to decide. But Barb, I've heard that. I hear you loud and clear. I've heard a number of other people address the same concern. I've had mothers come into my office who have Indian children that are almost full blood, but they can't get enrolled anywhere because they're so fractured in different tribes. And the kids are enrolled here, they're raised here, they're raised in Caldwell, they're taught our way, they live in our communities. The fact of the matter is we have quite a few of them now. And whether or not we want to try to come up with some other solution to that, to try to include those children, I think, it does need to come from the people. That'd be my statement on it. I don't know if any of the other Lynn?
Barbara, I just want to make a comment, and the blood quantum issue is a big issue, and it's been talked about in different districts, but the way the council process is we need to have a presentation, I think, in tribal government through SNENA's office, our SNENA's committee. This is a serious issue, and for future generations, we really need to bring this up. So I think that I'm hoping that Stina will take this issue on regarding our blood quantum and who should be called up. Secondly, I wanted to say something to Mr. Clark about your comment that, Mr. Clark, correct me, you were born in 1927? You're one of the elders here today, and I really wanted to acknowledge what you had to say today. I believe that values that you shared about what we should be doing in investing our funds is something that this council needs to hear from you. And I believe that that's the direction that many of us are going in. So I'm very, very happy to hear you say that as one of our elders, kind of spanking us just a little bit, but that's okay. Thank you.
Next. Good, Shirley?
Well, I had a brief comment about IT. Mr. Roniak gave a presentation, and I said that he is the CIO for the tribe, which he didn't explain what that is. I took a fair amount of time to figure out what that is. And then indicated that he has a deputy that he's going to be hiring and that they are expanding all over the place, which sounds really exciting, but my frustration is that my internet that I have to pay an arm and a leg for at work doesn't work 50% of the time. So, I mean, it kind of is frustrating to know that they are expanding all over the reservation, but they haven't fixed the problems at home. And our work is all done online because we use a remote server. And so when we are at a standstill because things at home are not being taken care of, it sort of frustrates me that they're spending so much time going out and doing these other things and hiring these very high-paid people. I have no idea how much money he makes, but his assistant is going to make $80-some thousand. That's a lot of money, and to not fix the problems at home. And you have the benefit of having a monopoly, where we don't, I pay for internet and unlimited long distance on my phone at home for $33. And it costs me more than that for me alone at work. And I can't share my Wi-Fi with everybody else like I can at home. I can share it with, 20 people if I want to at home, but I can't share it with the 2 other attorneys in my office. And I have to pay 3 or 4 times as much money. So at some point I'd like, my comment is it would be nice if you could slow down and fix the issues at home. Instead of just blasting out there and trying to cover as much territory as you can, without just doing a quality job for those of us that are human resources. But that's not my question. That's just a comment. It doesn't require a response if Mr. Roniak doesn't want to give one. I wasn't asking a question. It was just a statement. My question is last year, on the day of our district meeting, of the general membership meeting in Nespelem, I submitted to the code reviser and our reservation attorneys, as well as several members of our council, and I had actually commitment from several members of our council that they would try and move forward a proposed amendment to the elections code that I presented. And I followed the law that the code sets out, and I gave it to the council. And there were things that, I had this commitment that something was going to be done. And I did get the comment from one person at ORA that I had no business writing that code, but I personally think, if you think about even the history of the United States, who started out writing those codes? They didn't hire reservation attorneys or anybody else to write those codes. They were things that the people wanted done, and so they started doing it. And that's how I started that elections code. I looked at it and I thought, man, this is a mess. And so I started working on it. And I read and read and read comments from different people. I posted it in several different locations on the internet and took comments and took phone calls and shared it with people in person. And then before I even submitted it, so it wasn't just something for me, but even if it was just for me, why is it that that can't be processed? That's my question. So it's a year later, and nothing has happened with it. But there have been things that came forward out of the elections committee that suited, I don't know who, that got submitted ahead of my proposals that came in October of 2012.
I can try to answer that question. I do remember receiving that. We did turn it in to our ORA, and we're supposed to go through the code revision process, and it never came back to be revised. But we did have it. I know I had a chance to comment on it and review it. I think it was forwarded on to all our council, and it had a lot of good points that I hope we can hopefully try to process that again. One thing I would like to talk about our elections process a little bit. I think last year we had the elections committee, and I know Joe, and Lynn, and who was there? And Cody Nisdell were on the elections committee, and we're all our first time on there, and this is not an excuse, but this is just a reality. A lot of things don't get accomplished that we want to get accomplished. I know I committed to looking at that code revision. It was submitted to ORA through the process that we're supposed to follow, and it wasn't completed. We met a couple times, and then by the time we had more time to look at it, it was the timeline that I already had. We already got into our election season, and we were kind of in reactionary mode to make sure that we had to complete our elections process. I would take responsibility for that. Although we did turn it in, it wasn't followed up on. That's someone's fault. It would be the elections chair's fault. That would be my fault. So that's all I can say to it. I don't know if Lynn or Joe want to add anything. Cody's not here, but that's the process, and it didn't go. And I know we have some other recommendations that we wanted to do, but once we hit a certain time, we have to start with the election. Lynn, I'd like to add a couple comments.
Johnny, I remember that your recommendation, and actually it was excellent, but one of the things, and I'm glad, again, it's a tribal government committee issue, because the chair of tribal government is the election chair as well in this situation. And I actually believe that you have about 3 recommendations that did not get pushed through last year because of whatever reason. They're sitting there. They should be sitting in a folder, waiting for action. And we should be responding, or we should be acting soon, because before we know it, we'll have to open up for candidates and all those things, and that stops everything. So it's a timing thing, but thank you, Johnny, for reminding us.
My name is Joan Samarin, I'm from the Westfield District, and there needs to be something done about that election stuff, because I didn't get mine until after the fact. I had to wait and then go in and mark my thing out, because I don't know what happened. That's the first time I ever got my absentee. Not sure why. Second of all, how come you guys didn't get on the ORA for not getting that done? That's really important. But my main reason is here, I wanted to ask Mike what he was running for over on, what are you running for?
NCI, first vice president, and next week.
Really? I'm really proud of that. I'm so proud because he's from our reservation and he's our chairperson. And I just wanted to let you know that, we're all happy for you. I'm just simply happy. I can't even express the happiness. All my friends that live over on the coast, down in Warm Springs, Pendleton, over in Lapway, out here in Spokane and Cusick, we're all talking to me. Especially my girlfriends. I heard that some of our tribal leaders up here are lobbying against you. I was pretty upset when I heard that. And I was ashamed of them. It's shame on you. He's our chairperson and you should be backing him up. You're from in our districts, in our reservation, irregardless if you guys have your bad feelings. I also would like to speak on this enrollment. We did quite a big letter over, and it was in the Tribal Tribune, and I had over 3,000 letters. And it was really important because I too feel the same way. We have a lot of family members, tribal members. We have a lot of people that intermarried and out are married from our reservation. One of the biggest things is they don't qualify for them. They don't have nobody standing in the background helping them out with their bills or telling them, who's going to help me through college. It took all of us to help some of our children to get through school and get through college. It's really important at this point because, like Barbara said, there are almost 10 tribes in some of them. I know quite a few of those people. Yet to hear some of the letters that I got back from one half of the family is enrolled and the other half of the family is not enrolled, I was like, oh my God, what happened there? And we went back and looked at all the paperwork and actually drilled through it. But there was about 20 of us that had been looking through it and trying to fulfill something to help all of our people get up to a standard. I know of other reservations that have changed their enrollment specifically for that. And that's very important for our reservation also. I had one other question, and it had to do with whatever Joe's in charge of over here. They was talking about all the revenue and all the money that's coming in on that. But he, didn't really give any line of how much overhead money that they're going to be making and how much of the money is going to be paid back out to us and how much is actually handed over to you guys.
Joe, you want to come up and answer that last part?
Sorry, I've got a list going here.
After your question done, I can give you the numbers for 2013, 2012, and thereafter, I'll run back to them. Total revenues for 2012 were $84.6 million. That's total for the corporation. The net income, which basically was the profit for the corporation, was $4.9 million. This is 2012. What was distributed to the tribe, and that's from gaming dollars, was $10.8 million. That was 2012.